Hello, my Juicy Co-creators. Lilou here on the beautiful Juicy Living Tour. I'm back in Hawaii. I wanted to feel like Hawaii again. It's such a beautiful island, and not that Europe is not beautiful. It's a magnificent place, but it's so special here. I'm with Tiffany, that you probably recognize, that I've interviewed last time. We were on a very powerful power spot too for you, and here we're now. Tell us where we are.
Right now we're in Anahola, and we're at a birthing heiau, which is a sacred Hawaiian temple that is a birthing place. It's a female heiau, which is for the women. And it's a place, a sanctuary for the women to come and connect with the Great Mother, with the Great Mother Earth, and to be connected with all of the ancestors and the ancient ones, and to receive the wisdom. And so it's also been said that this is a portal where all of the souls enter in through the planet. And so it's for me, I had a vision several years ago where I had seen myself as just a dot of light, but it was an immense amount of light. And there was hundreds of thousands of others of lights. And together we sang in creation. And so it was very interesting because as a young child, and then again as adult, when these memories started to come back through sound healing, I started to see the way that the earth was created. And so when I came here, I felt so drawn and so connected here, and it was through the sound that I ended up meeting a kahuna at Kaiwi who said, "That's the sound of creation." And he's like, "You're supposed to be here." And it didn't come without challenges, though. Uh-huh. It was very, very interesting challenges that I had to encounter, initiations, so to speak. Initiations, because my intent in coming here was to be able to open this portal for the women so that the women could reclaim their voices and be able to speak their truth. And it's a very controversial place because many locals know how sacred this is, and they want to hold it very sacred. And so in honoring that, there's a great humbleness that I come only when called, and only when invited, and only when asked by the Great Spirit and by the kahuna, and just really coming in a way of leaving no trace, or just really coming to be of service.
Yeah, because there is some, people that are kind of gatekeepers, or tell us about the kahunas, or how Hawaiian actually give you the authorization, or what are their traditions?
Well, there's many different traditions, and what I had to go through was actually proving myself in many ways, actually. One was actually to spend the night here, which is not done very often. And when done, because there's so many spirits that come through here, you can go crazy. There's things that can occur, and different things like that. So you really have to be able to walk between the dimensions. So I've been coming here since I've been here on island for 3 years, and spending the night in every equinox. And there's a certain time during when the equinox hits where the portal opens and you can walk into the inner worlds. And I've experienced so many amazing experiences with connecting with the Sacred Mother and the Sacred Father in those ways. And one in particular is I slept here up at the pyramid stone, and in the middle of the night the stone liquefied, turned black, and the moon was directly on the mountain above, and the light was shining on, and it was like I was on fire. Like my whole heart, my whole chest, everything was on fire. And I was asked to go into the portal, and I was afraid because I was told by the kahuna that if I go in and I don't get out in time, that I would be stuck. And of course I was like, oh no. But I was really guided to go in. And so when it liquefied, I went to walk in, and as I walked into the portal, I saw all of consciousness. And I experienced viscerally through my whole physical body what it was like to be the darkest of the dark, to be a rapist, a molester, a killer, a satanic cult leader, all these things, and the brightest of the bright. To be enlightened, to be pure love and joy, and in what's felt like an eternity, but in a split second, viscerally felt through my whole body this experience. And then when I walked into the portal, there was nothing. It was complete void of any emotion, any feeling, any existence. And as I was in there, I just went into a state of complete nothingness. And I didn't even feel peace or, just nothing. And when I came out, I heard a voice from the mother, and she said, "This is why you've chosen the earth. Don't judge the journey. Mm-hmm. Just experience it." And I was so taken back by this experience that, it changed my whole life and really showed me that as I walk into the next parts of my life, being an advocate for women and children, and that it wasn't about fighting anything. It wasn't about trying to fight against. Mm-hmm. It was actually about trying to understand and deepen within the understanding of these viruses that are running rampant within our cultures, and to really go into the depths of my own soul and my own unraveling so that I could uncover where this comes from. So it's been a deep journey, and I feel like that's what we're going through now in 2012 is a journey into the roots. Mm-hmm. We're descending into the body. We're having to come from our highest self, and with all the solar flares and all this light, it's like all the rays of the rainbow are coming inside of us, and they're illuminating all these dark parts. And a lot of women, a lot of people are suffering from candida. They're suffering from, these funguses, these molds, these yeasts. Well, basically it comes from an unoccupied body. We haven't been in our vessel fully illuminating the light. And so what happens in a house that has moisture or water, and, it is, without love or care, gets cobwebs and dust and mold and all of these different things. And so as children, we've been in this society where we leave our bodies, we live in our minds, we don't move through this part. We just stay up here and not fully entering into our bodies. And so we're being asked if we want to be here. There's a mass exodus. There's people leaving the body and deciding that it's too much, it's too hard. And there's a lot of people like us that are choosing, no, I want to be here. Mm-hmm. I want to be in heaven on earth. I want to experience the original creation, and I want to know, but we have to go through the pain body. So that's the gateway. That's the gateway into the underworld. But what's in the underworld? We're in this whole scorpionic Uranus transition where all the secrets are being revealed. But what a lot of people don't realize is that in the underworld, if you go into the earth, that's where the gems are. The diamonds, the gold, the crystals, the frequency. Here in Kauai, we're like on a huge emerald, on a huge, crystal grid. And so we go into the depths of understanding what we are in our crystalline nature. And so as we move through that piece of moving through the pain body, we have to feel these things, and we have to see the lineage. And in my lineage, there was deep roots of sexual abuse, that got passed on from generation to generation. And so I had to feel it. I had to own it and say, okay, this was my experience, but it's not me. Mm-hmm. And I had to truly feel the sadness and the sorrow and the separation, and just go into it and say, I'm not a victim to it. It was part of what I chose as a soul, to be able to grow and to know love beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Because every womb, there's a reason why we have those wombs.
Yes, we have contracted these souls and these roles that we've played so that we could know love. We could know how to trust. You can't have trust. You can't have love if you don't have trust. So we speak of love and we speak of loving the world, but if we can't trust ourselves and the choices we make in our own creation, and we're still in victim and blame, and we're in these places, then we can't truly be the God creator in our life. And so right now, in going into the descension into the body, we are coming into the root chakra, and we're feeling our animal self. What is the addictive part of ourselves that makes choices that puts our child self in jeopardy? You know, what are those programs that are in the unconscious of I gotta survive. I just gotta survive no matter what. Because that's when we left Lemuria, when we left the kingdom of heaven on earth, was when we went into survival mode. And the first man or woman killed the other man or woman. And that's when we left knowing that we were Gaia. We were part of all of creation. And we forgot that. And then we began to hoard and we began to, try to control and manipulate, to get on top. And, and this went on for generation upon generation. And we're coming back into remembering that we are connected to the earth. We are connected to this ancient birth portal. We are remembering the truest parts of our existence and claiming it through our voice and our creation and saying, I choose this experience. I choose to be here now. And I choose to accept what my path has been, to feel it. And it's interesting because as I've gone through this journey, what would have taken years is now taking, minutes to feel it. And I saw like how creating, we create becoming a workaholic and needing to be famous and needing to have children and needing to be in partnership and calling in the beloved and all these things, to distract us from actually feeling. So then what happens is in our outer world, we're left, we're abandoned, we fail, we create all these scenarios that come from that hidden shadow that is still wanting to be heard. And so now in 2012, from when it started to the end of the year, we're clearing those roots. We're clearing it for our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers, and we're really bringing in that lineage of purity. And we're saying, it's okay. It's okay, we chose this. And with me, it stops. With me, there will be no more generations that will have to suffer from that. Because I will reclaim the sacred rights of womanhood. I will teach my daughter and I will teach my granddaughters and I will teach my children the ancient ways of the goddess, of sexuality, of how to build their field, of how to make choices and decisions that create, not necessarily protection, but help them to empower, that they don't attract that into their lives or into their consciousness. Love and, not shame our mothers or our grandmothers that they did anything wrong, but love them for, they didn't know. They didn't have the wisdom of experience or they didn't know. And so to forgive and to honor them and to love them for birthing us into this creation and to really say, I see you, and I see that you were in pain too.
Why do you feel it's so important for us to go through this forgiveness and this healing and the ho'oponopono even? Why is that important right now at this time?
It's very important right now because we're coming into a time frame where we're releasing all illness and disease and all these things from our body. And so the phrase I keep hearing is with holding on to this pain, it's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. We're taking in these toxins, we're taking in these lower vibrational frequencies, and we're not letting them go. Mm-hmm. We're just holding them inside of us. And why? Just forgive it. It's easy. It's interesting because there's a part of me that got on the whole love and light. I'm just going to be love and light, and I wanted to just be in that because I didn't want to face the pain. I didn't want to face what it felt like to go into the separation of being separated from God. But what I found was when I actually, this last equinox, actually, I was in the square and I spent the night there. And we put an Andara in the center, and it was an Aqua Lemuria, and it was the Akashic Records keeper. And so for hours, I would say we started about 8 o'clock, and from 8 o'clock all the way through to 4:44 in the morning, I went through this process of feeling like a birth. Every contraction, every restriction, everything that had held me bound to consciousness and the physical form. And every time I tried to fight it, and every time I tried to I would tighten and stress, it would get worse, the pain. So then I breathed and I would move and spiral and sing and, and allow it to move through my body. And I realized that's what we're doing right now. We're birthing ourselves into these whole beings of light. And it doesn't have to be something that is, I feel that a lot of us that are doing this and have chosen this as our path, there's some of us that, maybe that's the path, that we have to go through that laboring. But I'm okay to be, a transmuter. I'm an alchemist, so I'm okay to transmute those energies. I'm okay to be able to take those and know that I am a galactic universe and go into that remembrance and do it for, the rest of consciousness. Because not everyone's going to have to do that. The mother always tells me, you're an adrenaline junkie, Tiff. She's like, you like the ride, you like the waves, you like to know, you like to go deep. It's part of my archetypal energy. Uh-huh. And so I accept that. I want to know. I have chosen to sign up to really know, so that my children don't have to go through it. Mm-hmm. So that, others that are coming up, they don't have to go through this. And I commend others that choose this path too, and say thank you so much. Because I know that there's the first wave people that went through a lot worse than I did for years. The grandmothers. I mean, many of the grandmother teachers, that, they went through torture and dying and burning and, all these things that I don't have to go through. Mm-hmm. And that's what I really feel is that it's the evolution of consciousness. It's the journey, not the destination. Yes, we are all love. Yes, we are all light, but we're in the journey to awareness to embody that and what that really means. And what I learned is that through the experience is that if you don't know the vibration of what love is, that, we have to journey to find it. And it's never outside of ourselves, but the inside has to be met so the outside can create. So sometimes it's a give and take of the outside and the inside. And is this matching? Oh, that's not matching what I see for my life. So then I have to shift. And so I'm really in my path now, working at this beautiful temple. Not even working. I play here, and I just sit and be with nature and feel the fairies and the elementals and just connect with all of consciousness. And what I'm recognizing, I was on Facebook the other night, and I was really doing some research about sexual abuse and the epidemic that it is in our world, where 1 in every 3 little girls is abused and 1 in every 5 boys.
It's enormous.
It's enormous. And I realized, I realized that there was a seed of consciousness that was implanted within our society and inside of our collective grid that wanted to control us and wanted to keep us in this state. And that was the way that it was done, because it perpetuates it from generation to generation to generation. It stops us from being in our full magic, because the most powerful being on the planet is a fully in tune, innocent sexual being. Someone who is fully aware of their sensuality, their sexuality, and their ability to create in innocence. Nature is making love all around us, all the time. Mm-hmm. And
the dolphins too.
Yeah, the dolphins, everything, it's creation. And so when we took this, when this was taken from our society and it was like mutated, so to speak, we lost, when the goddess was lost in our cultures and our traditions, the rites of passage, that part of creation was taken away, and there was so much confusion. We had pain in childbirth. We started to not know how to run our energy. We started to get holds in our aura, disconnect from our telepathic abilities. We just completely got disconnected from what was so natural to us. And what ends up happening when a child is abused or molested or things like that occur, the fragmenting of the mind happens. And so when the fragmenting of the mind happens, there's pieces that are not accessed. And so in the subconscious, they keep replaying these scenarios and these situations and perpetuating them. And so through the sound, through connecting in the sound current, we can change those vibratory pathways and start opening to new ways of being. And that was something that I got this morning. I was so excited when I saw you. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to talk to Lilou about this, because I realized that through the sound current, when people go in, they remember the innocence. And when I sing, it's the sound of the yoni.
So beautiful.
It's the.
You have to sing for us again.
Okay. It's the sound of the vagina in ecstasy. And yeah, imagine that. And the didgeridoo in the ancient cultures is the phallus. So when you put the two together, you're getting creation through the sound. So if you hear the warble, it's like the flower of life, the concentric circles of the spheres, creating. And so when we remember that, that's what we were made of. We were made of that creation. And we go back into remembering, oh, this is not natural for my body. This is not natural for me to be held, confined, shamed, guilted, all these things. And so we began to seek awareness in nature and connection to see what is really the truth. And then we see the flowers and the bees and the trees and everything.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, the mosquitoes.
My goodness, there's some mosquitoes here. All that is part of creation.
All of it, yes, yeah. It is actually, it's interesting because when you've lived in Hawaii for a while, they say the mosquitoes take your DNA and they feed their young. And then after a while, they don't want your DNA because it's cannibalism. So they don't eat you as much. And I was like, oh, thank God when that started to happen.
Yeah, you don't have that challenge at all. They go for me.
I know, you're the fresh meat on island.
Yes. Tell us about those bowls and the power really of sound again, because we spoke about it last time, and you can look up online and search for Tiffany's name, and the video will pop right up on YouTube and everywhere. But tell us about the power of sound healing and why you use this bowl in particular. Is that a Tibetan bowl?
Mm-hmm. This is a Tibetan bowl, and my voice actually came after an activation of the green Tara with the Dalai Lama. And when I had done a vision journey, a vision quest, and had retrieved memories of what had occurred to me, and the next morning we were at the ocean, and it was a very intense journey where I had to go deep into apathy, because you have to access beyond the apathy. Because apathy makes us want to fall asleep. Oh, God, I just don't want to deal with it. And we just go to sleep. You have to access the anger. Because when you access the anger is the passion and the fire that makes you leave out of an abusive relationship, makes you speak out, makes you, move through any fear so that you can take action. And so that's what I went through for like 8 hours one night. A friend was doing a process that he had learned from Discovery, from Dr. Phil. And the Discovery.
Out of all people.
I know. And of course, I was like, Dr. Phil. And oh boy, I learned. We love you, Dr. Phil. But it was an interesting journey, because there was a role playing that happened to every person in my life that had suppressed or oppressed or repressed and went through that journey. And at the end of that journey, in the clouds was Tara, and she was holding a little baby. And so I had seen this Tibetan bowl when I was in the Lotus Gallery in Kilauea, and I knew it was my bowl, but it was very expensive. Mm-hmm. And so it was really interesting, because Spirit said, "Go pick up your bowl. You would travel around the world with this. This is a white Tara, which is purity and purification." And so when I heard the bowl, it was so directly connected to my voice. And so the sounds that it emanates and the purity, I've used it in so many ceremonies to really bring back to innocence and purity and love, especially working with the women, but the men as well. And so it's made out of many different metals, and so each of the metals creates a different harmonic, and when you play it on the body, it just starts to move and release and clear. And so
Let's just hear it. Let me put the mic, because we might with the cocoricos, with the birds.
exactly with my voice.
And the sound stays for quite some time, huh? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this beautiful drawing there.
It has the white tar inside. Yeah, so it's
I hear all these, oh my goodness, scratch, scratch, scratch. Ah. Going beyond the distractions.
exactly. It's always so interesting because I always know like where people are at. Some people they come and they can't receive because they're just in the distraction of the mosquitoes and the this and the that, and I'm like, wow, you're in one of the most sacred places on the planet receiving the most sacred gift. And they're like bugs, ooh, ah. So
Yes.
yeah, so that's part of the initiation.
Yeah. It's good. Then I could see there's this whole path in front of me to go to be able to just be there. And like those Zen monks, just even those mosquito bites doesn't bother them.
Yeah. I was really today. I can't remember the numbers. I'm so bad at this, but they're on my Facebook page. There is a bill being passed for the children and helping to bring awareness to different things that are going on around the world. And Oprah is supporting this. And I would just like, if people go to my Facebook, which is Tiffany Tatum, and they see this, they can support it and call their senators and start to get this movement going. Because it's one of the things that I feel that as mothers and, it's inside of our families. It's inside of, these people are not people that's out there that we need to protect our children from. They're wounded people that are within our families. And if we start putting a stand and, having people get help and start using the frequency and the sound and the clearing and to be able to really heal this as a culture and get the message out there, we're really going to start moving in leaps and bounds. Sometimes it's as simple as acknowledging and bringing it out of the unconscious awareness into the consciousness. Because most of the time it's the big white elephant in the room that nobody wants to look at.
And in families, what do you think mothers should tell their daughters?
I feel like, there's many different things that we can do as mothers. Like, for an example, my daughter, it was really interesting because when I was sharing with her about her sexuality and her energy and holding herself sacred, it was very interesting because a disturbed little girl they were 16 and her boyfriend tried to rape my daughter. And, my daughter, she refused to let that happen, and she started to scream and she started to, make it so that it stopped, which broke that chain, where for me, I felt like it was my fault. And I felt like I had brought it on because I was too curious or whatever. I was date raped at the age of 13. And so she, it was beautiful to see how she was able to really stand up for herself even in the face of that pain. And I feel like when we have that close relationship with our children and we teach them about sexuality, about their energy, about what they're going to allow in their field and what they're not going to allow in their field, and to honor themselves as sacred, that their body is a temple. There's a consciousness and an awareness that comes from that. When our moms don't talk to us and they don't connect with us in that way, and they don't teach us about because little girls, I mean, my little sister, she was, in two. She used to, like when she was little, we'd go over the speed bumps and she'd go, "Oh, that's a very fun vibration." She would feel like, through the things. And she's like, "What is that?" And they already know at a young age, they already know and are curious about their bodies and about that peace and awareness. And we don't want to bring shame on them either, but we don't also want to make them bait. So when we really bring back these rites of passage and these rituals, and we teach them about their moon and we teach them about their empowerment, they have a more aware way of working with their energy, where they don't become the target, and that a man will know, you're not going to mess with this child. These children are so smart too nowadays. They're so quick, and they're not manipulated very easily. So I have a feeling the new generation of children, these light beings that are coming in, are really going to make the difference with that. In really, we're going to see an insurgence, a wave of children just speaking out and sharing if things do happen. So.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for this delicious conversation, and I'm glad we're putting this out, and for everybody listening. I know you were meant to listen to this because you just listened to it, and just pass it on. Send it to some friends or some mothers and children as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Yes. Yeah, and just if anything has happened to you, I have some free music, and it's on SoundCloud.com, Tiffany Tatum, and I have different ceremonies and channelings and different things that you can just download and access and just really bring in the frequencies, and it really helps to gently go into the body, and those sounds that I was just doing with the Tibetan bowl, they actually bring the soul into the body, and so they help to clear away some of those things that are blocking and, in a graceful way. Because this is the age of grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
To grace.
To grace.
Thank you so much. I want to call you Grace, but it's Tiffany. The same. Much love, my beautiful co-creators, wherever you are around the world. We send you much beautiful spirit, joy from here. Bye. Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilou here on the island of Kauai. I'm with Tiffany, that you probably recognize, and we're going to do a ceremony. We're in this very special place here.
We're in a special place. I'm not going to say exactly where it is, only because it's very, very sacred, and I'd like to keep it under wraps. But it is where the souls birth in through the earth. It's believed to be where the souls birth in through the earth. So we're going to be up against this stone here, which is called a puhaku in the Hawaiian traditions, and it's one of the ancient ancestors. And the mountain is right above us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring Lilou back to her original soul's intent and help her to reconnect with her original purpose or mission through the sound and the frequency and the vibration of when she entered into this portal. And so,
wow, thank you.
You're welcome. So here we go.
Just like that?
You can put your phone in here if you'd like. Just taking a deep breath and just allow yourself to feel into the mountain. Intere andiu imiam de ki amora niaye intarangu tere ayangu no toki ye nai teki. Ancient, ancient. Ini a ye man tekiri mold out of muye tau ure wara mo pai. In te ki o mo rao to ye tai. Leran Blessed be to the ancient ones that hold the space for us, that guide us, lead us on the path, that teach us and bring us into remembrance of soul. The ancestors, we give thanks, praise to the earth, the air, the wind, the fire, and the water. We give thanks. We give thanks to the Mother Earth and the Father Sky, to the heavens below, the heavens above, and the earth below us. Thank you. Beautiful soul who walks upon the light, illuminating the way like the sun, shining her light so that others can be seen, the messages can be heard, and the Great Spirit can be spoken. For the ancient wisdom of those who walk within the path of truth, love, and righteousness. Through the humbleness, through the laughter, the joy, and the childlike innocence. We give thanks to you, the Spirit who embodied in form, who gave us this gift of you as creation. Remembering the spark of light that sung the earth into creation at this very location. Remembering what it was to see creation through the sounds of the ha, the om, giving breath and life to existence. Still giving breath and life to existence.